Notes. Good afternoon. I am Norma Dan Luther, the chairman. I would like to welcome you to this board of trustee meeting, September, whatever it is. I will call the meeting to order at 12:01. At just a little announcements, at a previous meeting, some public comments included personal attacks. While we appreciate the passion of our patrons, these attacks hinder productive conversation. First Amendment protects free speech, but it does not give commentators the right to harass the persons or speak with a disrespectful dialogue. We do thank you all for coming. Before we proceed, I would like those, if you are going to comment, there's some papers out there. You need to sign in and take a copy of our policy for the public comments. And then the library values everyone's right to be heard. And if you can come up here when you talk, and you have 3 minutes. Okay. The agenda. Call to order. Oh, I want to do something first. Would you, we have Colette Bartlett and Corey Sloan. Would you like to introduce yourselves or not?
Sure, we'll keep it to less than 3 minutes. As public. Hi, my name is Corey Sloan. I work for the Montana State Library. I'm a consultant for the Broad Valleys region and the Pathfinder region. This is the Pathfinder region. It goes from Cascade up Fort Benton, up to Harlem, over to Browning. So it's a pretty large area. I am new to the state library as of July, and it's really exciting to get to meet a bunch of library directors and library trustees in that region and just get to know people. Some of the things consulting services do is assist with strategic planning, policies and procedures, continuing education training, which Colette will speak more about. Really just all kinds of different things, budgets, all sorts of things. Libraries are incredibly complex organizations, but they're so important for their communities. So I'm happy to be here. I'm on a little bit of a road trip right now. This is my last leg, and I'm based in Bozeman, which is the Broad Valleys Federation and the other federation that I serve. Any consultant can help you, but it's always good to kind of get to know somebody and build that trust and rapport. So it's really nice to meet you all. Thanks everybody for being supportive of your public library and being here.
All right, so I'm Colette Bartow. I'm the continuing education coordinator at the state library. I'm so excited that Corey was able to pick me up on the way through Helena this morning on her whirlwind tour to have a chance to be here and answer any questions that you might have about continuing education, give you any ideas or suggestions. But as always, and as Corey said, the state library is here to support you in both in learning and any questions that you may have. So hello, so nice to see you all in person and thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. All right. Call to order. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Yes. This is going to do it. I would like to have a change to the agenda under new business. Do we need a vote on that? Would someone make a second or a vote? Please?
Could you tell us what the change is?
So. What is the change?
So. I think she wants.
No, no,
Go ahead.
I don't want to do a change.
Okay. So you were,
I'm sorry, this is my first.
she was gonna change the people on the. Can you speak, Madam Chair?
Yes.
She was gonna change the people on the policy board because she wanted to be on it as
Oh.
chairman.
So I would like to put it in there.
It's in it's in our bylaws, I believe, that the chair is de facto on every committee. And
Okay,
We
thank
just
you.
can't have 3 meeting at once because that then creates a quorum.
Okay, so do we need one person to leave?
And
Do we need,
We can't have 3 people meeting
Okay,
at once,
okay,
because that is a form,
okay.
so however you would like.
So you'll have to make the motion later on to address that.
so you would like to add new business item,
That was it.
restructuring the policy committee?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And we need to vote.
I make a motion to add the adjustment to the policy committee during our meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of changing the policy, people? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, is there public comment on items on the agenda? You had it, those agendas out right there. Are there any public comments at this time on the agenda?
Could you speak up and tell me what you're changing that you just voted on? We couldn't hear what you.
Oh, I'm quiet, I'm kind of quiet, I'll try to talk
You
loud.
will when the motion comes up.
Yeah, I will. I'm asking now if any of you have comments on the agenda. You have the agenda from out there. Are there any comments right now? Okay, we will go on then. Okay, the minutes. When I look on the minutes, you had it. Any changes to the minutes or one to vote?
I think we got the minutes online, so I've read them unless somebody else needs to look at them.
Am I talking too quiet?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
My mother says that. Okay. Are there any changes to the minutes of the last meeting? You want to have some time to look? Okay, may I have a motion that we accept the minutes from the last meeting?
I move we accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Second,
I second that.
okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, say aye, please.
Aye.
Okay. Ayes, nays? Yeah. Okay. All right, so we did the minutes. You have an action item?
No, that's just, you made the action, that was the motion.
Thank you. Okay, now we go to the monthly financials for July and August. And we can take a minute and look them over if you want, but you have them online, right?
Yes.
Okay. Nick, are there any questions?
So I had a question under 220 operating supplies. And there was a charge for bracelets for $265.45.
Yes, those were, an opportunity to get glow in the dark bracelets for programming for October for all of the, branches. They say like Chouteau County Library on them. It's nice to have, it's, much like the candy just for community outreach.
Thank you.
And that was divided amongst
3 branches.
the 3 branches.
So it's in here more than once then? So it's in here for each branch? Because I have it here and then I have it over here too for 229 and then 114.50 and
Yes.
then at 265.
Are you wondering how many bracelets?
Well, it just, it's just that it grew. It grew from this side to 265 to this side where we added another
Is that in July or August?
July.
July. So then it's moved over and then you.
So if you look on the bills paid sheet on
August?
July,
Okay,
that looks. This sheet.
okay.
So, under 220 operating
Yeah.
expenses towards the top, so the second charge down.
Okay, I see it there.
Fort Benton Branch Library, then the fourth one down is for the
Okay.
Big Sandy Branch Library, and then the last one is Geraldine.
Okay.
So it is listed 3 times 1 under each. Because the way this report is broken down, the first section is the Fort Benton, and then Big Sandy and Geraldine.
Is that a lot for bracelets?
No,
No?
$600.
Depends how many bracelets. Was it more than 600 bracelets?
Like 1,000.
Nice. Visible kids on Halloween.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Most, I think we all do trunk or treat, and so.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
I see there's a subscription for Zoom. Is that still working best? In July is the start of the fiscal year.
Yes. I believe that what we requested was approved and as well as operating number now.
And I looked up, there seems to be a lot. I was like, wow, but this is kind of the month where you do your subscriptions. right?
Yes,
How listen to these subscriptions?
Cheryl prefers that any annual, as close as we can make it work. That annual subscriptions are paid in July, so that if we're audited, it shows that all of the money allocated for that fiscal year is done in that fiscal year.
Okay.
So as much as we can, so yes, so then the large elevator bill, the McNaughton, the shared catalog, yes, a lot of those come right off the bat.
Okay, all right. Okay. Any other questions, or you want, a little time, one more time? A lot of papers.
There was a lot for this month, yeah.
And maybe, Emily was supposed to call you, or we talked about it, that if you don't want to do them at home, she could just make the packets here, and give them to you, but if you want to run them all off at home, just tell her that you don't need a packet, so we quit having the double paper, okay?
It's more to get those stamps now.
Yeah, last week tried to get it before, but
Yeah.
they went up.
We're good? On the
Yeah.
financials? Okay, can I have a motion to accept the, financial reports for July and August? Is that right? Is that right? Sorry. Yes, could I have a motion, please,
I'll move to accept the reports.
for July and August? Okay, in a second,
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion's been made to accept the monthly financials for July and August. Do we need to vote? Do we vote on all? Yes, could I have, all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right. All right, some branch reports.
So would you like me to do like all of July at once and and then all of August, or just do it for branch?
I don't mind per branch,
Yeah.
per branch, if that's doable.
So for July, for Big Sandy. So July was still full in summer reading, so Adventures in the Library was the overall summer reading theme. In July, they did Percy Jackson books, Peter Pan, Hunger Games, Harry Potter, and Wizard of Oz. And then for August was back to school. So it's kind of a summer reading and then recovery from summer reading. Getting back into order. Fort Benton themes for July included adventure, again, that was the umbrella. For summer reading, America, the Revolutionary War, immigration, young adult summer books, young adult American historical fiction books, national parks, sharks, swimming, and patron picks. Our projects included summer reading and Amber and Masood from Humanities Montana. And then in August, our themes were back to school, Olympics, sports, aviation, rainforests, sunflowers, westward expansion, horses, fairs, rodeos, ancient South Central American civilization, patron picks, and wildfires. Projects included in the first full week of August, we worked in collaboration with I think it was Lions Club and Women's Club with the theater camp that came out of Howard. So I believe they had 20 or 21 children that came for the week and participated in that. Lori and Ross Reddy came in for a book launch that was just delightful. They have, I think, sold all their books that they brought and were able to answer questions. It was a great night and I appreciated them coming in. And then one that I didn't include that I thought of this morning that's been kind of a continuing project we've been working on. The Great Falls Tribune leaves a lot to be desired these days. And so we have patrons that want a physical newspaper. They don't necessarily want the Tribune. So that last time we paid an annual subscription for the Tribune, it was close to $900 for the year. So we
Everybody?
no, that was just the Fort Benton branch.
Okay.
The other two branches weren't as much. I did talk to Steve and Joe. And they now have an online subscription only, and Big Sandy still wanted theirs, their patrons still wanted the Tribune, so they still have the Great Falls Tribune. For Fort Benton though, we talked to patrons, we explored different print options. And so now for approximately $400 total, we get the River Press, the Big Sandy Mountaineer, the Havre Weekly, the Lewistown Argus, the Chouteau Acantha, and Great Falls just launched a new newspaper called the Great Falls Gazette that is printed twice a month, or not twice a month, twice a week. And so we are doing all of those different options, and that has been met with people like those. All of those papers seem high quality. So we did get an annual subscription for each of those, but if something comes up and we decide that it's not worth that, then we will pull back. But again, we were paying this just for Fort Benton close to $900 for the Tribune. It will be at $400. So I believe Big Sandy gets the River Press, the Mountaineer, the Havre Weekly, and the Great Falls Tribune. And Geraldine is getting the Lewistown Argus and Great Falls Tribune Online and the River Press. So that's where we are for
That's very good.
those.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Emily.
Yeah, I think. so.
I actually subscribe to all of those plus the Billings
Mhm.
paper, just for, to
Yeah.
get better coverage, more local coverage.
Yeah. And then Sandy Joe, would you like to do your reports?
Yes, I can. So for July, my themes were books that will take you places, so books about other places around the world, And the project was finishing up summer reading. We had 26 kids attend our summer reading program in Geraldine this year. And they all read a combined total of more than 400 hours. And then for August, our themes were new books, self-growth, and back to school. And then I am in the beginning stages of talking with John and Jenny and everyone else about Democracy Project and getting that going. It'll kind of start in October and then we'll really go full swing in February, it sounds like. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Any director report? Did we do something? Did we just read that on our own?
Yeah, if you wanna take some time, if you have any questions, if you notice after this, so the first page now, we have that little change that started at for the fiscal year. So the circulation statistics, this page has stayed the same front and back. These are the computer generated report that comes from when we scan the books. And then the next page though, with the colors on it, branch statistics, these are all self-reported. And then has the breakdown. It does look a little bit different than what we had before. It's only one page. There was some duplication in those reports before. So if you have any questions, this is a little bit new. The breakdown on ages is one more age category. That was in response to the public library survey that opens October 1st. This is the information that they are looking for. That's how I chose, or that's why I'm using these different.
Thank you. Yeah, I noticed, I read them all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess while Coley and Corey are here, I've always wondered how the state uses these statistics. Is it just purely information for you guys? Is it?
Those questions on they call them the survey, but it's statistics, come from the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences.
Okay.
And so it's national.
Okay, almost like a research. It's not financial, it's not tied to our
It is.
finances or.
It is, the state, library receives federal funding.
Okay.
Our services, continuing education and consulting are funded through our grant from the IMLS.
Okay.
So the statistics are reported to the state or, from the libraries to the state, and then we report that on to the IMLS. It's part of our accountability for the funding that we receive. And it helps us measure the services and kind of tell the story of what it is that we do month to month and day to day.
Do you guys ever come and give the board like a report card of how we're doing with our statistics? If we're filling out correctly, if we're forgetting things?
Oh, and so, and I mean, yes, the part of the public library standards are that the statistical report is completed on time. And so any libraries that don't complete that on time have the support of consulting services to get that done and then be able to meet the standards for that statistical report.
Okay, so the director, Emily, uses this monthly to have a once a year report it has a deadline, a hard deadline that we need to do. Okay.
And the deadline's set in Montana law.
Oh, okay.
We're not just making this up.
Okay, yeah, I just thrown it out, February 29th.
It's in the Montana Constitution file.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
So on director report, the first thing is the Pathfinder meeting is next Thursday, October 3rd. We need to select a representative. Janet has done that for many years now and is unable to attend next week's. We did not have anyone this spring, and so per their bylaws, we have to have someone there. We lose our funding, and that's what the numbers, I just included those numbers. So the 26-25 is what we get for being part of Pathfinder and meeting their bylaws. And then when you look at you mentioned that we pay those large things up front, like, so I've already, and it's money that you have to use. And so I did the McNaughton broad art contract with that, and so hopefully. I'm not sure it's not, so Corey and Coley will both be back next week as part of that. And so I think I don't know, it's 9:30 to 2:30, I'm not sure which part the trustee is required to be at.
The morning.
The morning, so 9:30 to noon is what we're looking at. If you can stay past noon, you get lunch. Our friends at the library provide lunch for that day. So
Can I ask where that's at?
here,
It is here.
it is here, yep,
It's a Friday. right?
Thursday,
Thursday.
yeah. You can do it, is that, you guys can,
Can you have one? Sure.
I think we can have up to 2, but probably not 3 because
Oh,
of
sure.
work. So as long as there's only 2 of you that want to do it, that's.
Just for my learning experience,
Yeah.
I'd like to participate in that as well, if that's okay with you.
And Nancy, so those two, and then I'll go next time, whatever,
If you want to go, I can.
doesn't matter.
Shoot. What our schedule is next week.
Okay, why don't you check, if you need me to go, I will go.
Okay.
The afternoon is training, which is beneficial to directors and to
I was
trustees.
gonna say that.
It's specifically about continuing education and how to use Aspen. If you've been on the board for a while, you might be familiar with Aspen. If you're newer, you get to learn. So if you can stick around for the afternoon, I would encourage it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, let me
and
know.
they're very good.
You let me know, Nancy?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, and I suppose we could have 3 or more as long as we post it.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, it
I
might be
just,
worth it.
I just have to make sure I know 48 hours in advance so I can post online and that there will be a forum at the meeting.
Okay.
So I could come.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Do you mind just planning on posting it?
Yeah, I can do
Okay.
that.
Cause it doesn't, there's no harm if there's only 2.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Try them. Especially all the other libraries give you what a great hint how it works in their library. I still want to do the wine tasting. Several of the libraries have done wine tasting for their projects.
We had a staff meeting, all staff meeting on September 13th here in Fort Benton. Carolyn went over the magazine subscription drive, the fundraising for that. That is something that is separate from our line item in the county budget, and she takes care of that for all branches. So we took suggestions and discussed usage for people. We had a summer reading recap, talked about what went well, what maybe didn't go as well, if people are planning for next summer already, things like that. Talked about book suggestions, tried to spend some positive time together, talked about new programming, Sammy Joe. Talked about the process for the democracy project going on, talked about maybe having a plant propagation. Darlene shared some different ways that she's done that. It was very interesting, and we're hoping to do that here. The need for tech programming, Big Sandy would like to see someone come in to do a Google training for folks, because so much is moving to Google Drive and
Just for
all
anybody.
for anybody to come in. So she was looking at that. And then we talked about for Chouteau County Country Christmas, still that first weekend in December to be open. That will need board approval, so that will be on the agenda for October. I wanted to put it closer to the date. That will be on the agenda for October as an action item to approve those open hours for that. We also covered Blue Cloud Analytics. That's a program that we use to pull a variety of reports. That's where I pulled the statistic reports from. You can pull weed reports, different usage reports. So everyone had an article. Coley was kind enough to send us the link to that. So we talked about the overview, and everyone read one article and shared out from that. We talked about the Montana History Portal has been doing we've been doing a Lego competition, and they have put together a virtual trunk. So they have done all the paperwork and everything where you can do a building activity at your library. They did it in collaboration with the Lewis and Clark Library in Helena last year, so. That information, I asked if anyone had comments or concerns for the board and no one shared anything with me about that. We will be, all the branches will be closed on election day this year. Again, that will be on upcoming dates next month. We get off everybody but the election office gets off election day every other year. And Veterans Day, we talked about the new stat keeping as reflected in these reports. Some of it doesn't apply. Big Sandy doesn't Zoom their programs, which is fine. We just talked about how some of those are, you know, well, you just circle no every time because that's the way it is, and that's okay, and that's not a reflection on anyone's. On anyone in particular. And then I guess I talked about that, the Blue Cloud analytic overview. So that was our staff meeting. Then we scheduled the next one, I believe, for January, and we're going to meet in Big Sandy
Wait,
for the all staff meeting. Oh,
wait, the meeting?
no, the all staff meeting. Programming updates. I know the board likes to be kept up to date on that for what I consider countywide programming. Amberin was here in July. That recording is online. We talked a little bit about that. Mary Jane Bradbury was here in September, just a couple of weeks ago. She was delightful. It was really an amazing thing to watch. Chris Latreille will be here next week. I emailed him to make sure he was still on our calendar because he has been everywhere. He just published a book. So he was at the Great Falls Library and the Billings Library, the Missoula Library. He's been out on the East Coast in New York, and he's very excited to be in Fort Bend. I'm very excited to have him. Dinner will be provided. We've been adding that, our friends of the library. Cynthia's gonna be providing dinner that night because it's my dad's birthday, so there's gonna be cake and dinner. And then I've been working with the local quilting guild, the Great Falls Public Library Women's Club is on this a little bit, the Story Quilt Project. I've been working with Wanda Rude, and that will be on October 22nd. They decided they've done it in Geraldine before, but wanted to do it here to centralize it a bit more because there's quilters out of Big Sandy and quilters out of Geraldine, and they're hoping for some from the Highline. So she's presenting in Great Falls also, but they wanted to do it here. So that's kind of for everyone.
Can you elaborate on that?
So there's the woman who's presenting did not make the quilts,
Okay.
but she is talking, I don't know if it was her mom or who it was, but a woman made quilts that go along with stories. So they're picture quilts. So the quilts will be on display. They're doing 2 of them in Great Falls and then 2 different ones here at this library.
So you can visit between 1 and 4, or is there?
Well, it's 2 separate programs. You can come to one or the other
Okay.
or both, but there will be an opportunity to leave. And I'm assuming there will be time to kind of look and ask questions. So, yeah.
Are you putting up any signage or?
I will, I've been focused on the Chris Latreille, and as soon as that is done, then we will, because it's not till October 22nd. I found if you advertise too far in advance, then people kind of,
Okay.
yeah.
And wasn't Chris here last year at
Heritage Day.
Heritage Day?
Yep,
Yeah,
and
he was
so
really interesting.
I had talked to him, he donated 2 books at that point. I talked to him over there, and then Humanities Montana added him to their speaker bureau. So as soon as they did that, because I've had community members who have requested that we get him. So I was glad we were able to.
Yeah, I
It's
can
very
hardly wait for the Zoom on that.
Yeah, and I got in like 6 months ago, and I'm glad I did, because then he's been very busy. So he likes to stay at the Grand Union and eat the buffalo. The Grand Union, so. Survey update, we had our survey open all summer. We got 76 responses. That's what came through. I have not compiled that yet, but we'll have that for a future meeting. The Big Sandy meeting room, Steve Gannon, who's the county attorney, would like that room to have an official name for legal purposes. We had talked about it before, and it has gone off the radar a little bit, so I'm not sure if we want to take that to the policy committee to talk about. We want to form a separate committee with a couple
You're gonna need
people.
to form a separate committee
Okay,
and make sure some Big Sandy people. are-
oh, well, for sure, I kind of want it to all be done with
Yeah.
pretty much only, I mean, I would like to be involved, but other than that,
Yeah.
Does he have a
so.
timeline? anything?
No, he just there were some issues last year and he felt that having, when you write things out in Danny and I met with him and he wanted,
I remember that he actually spoke to me about it also. So. When you put in and specify an area, it helps. So others don't think that they can come to the birthday party that's in the community room. And then they would have options because they had disruptive patrons coming on the doors. So they wanted to make.
well, and the fact that the whole library is not necessarily open, it's just
Right,
that room.
just that room.
During that time, so,
Mhm.
yeah. Would you like to form a committee now? Is that, so we can kind of get that going or?
I guess I'm on that committee.
Yeah.
I can just take it back if you want, and,
I'm fine with that.
okay, and we'll go, I know there's a couple people that, help build it, they don't want it named after them, so I can, yeah, you want me to do that? Okay,
That would be great. Thank you, Nona.
yep,
Lippert Claywater grant is due September 30th. Kim has been handling that, so if you have any questions, please ask Kim.
So have you contacted the other branches?
No. I contacted the director and the foundation.
Well, we talked about it at the foundation meeting in
Yeah.
July.
I figured we'd better go through the foundation than to go through the other branches.
Well, that's true, but I usually they tell what they need in their branches.
No one has sent me any suggestions.
Darlene said she never got contacted.
And
No.
she didn't reach out to me. I mean,
Is
it's
that what you
not,
need her to do, is reach out?
I keep asking them for anything that they would. Sammy Joe keeps a kind of a running list of things. They also got the Mahood money, so we have some monies there also.
Okay.
We ordered, there was a bunch of stuff that was ordered in this last fiscal year. Requests that they had, so I've been trying to keep that line of communication open. Again, because this is a annual grant, it's not a
Right.
one-time.
And it
So-
is something that even the board should look at.
Well,
Don't think so.
I
We
don't,
have before, I know that.
yeah.
I don't,
You might want to talk to Rich Jesperson about that,
Okay.
because he really
Okay.
spearheaded
yeah,
what we have.
and I can't speak for the whole foundation, but at this point, what we're concentrating on is air purifiers for every branch.
For every branch.
Oh,
Yes.
He did say,
And that'll, the second thing was, I think, some wood, some shelvings. I think for Fort Benton, but with the air purifiers and the shelving, it's over $10,000.
But the purifiers are for everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he would love to talk about it. And we had he came in one day, he did a whole walkthrough with me, on the building.
Yeah, he's talked to me about.
Yeah, so that was for everyone.
okay,
So-
I'll go back to, I'll tell him. I will tell them, okay?
I included, it might be on the, I don't know if it was on the bottom of the pack or not, and I didn't write it down, because I didn't realize it, I forgot. The policy calendar, I've updated
This one.
can I hold that up for a second? So, we talked about this before, this is the policy calendar with, one we have looked at and approved. So. That was a project that I was working on. We have, as we look at it, gone through everything besides two more that we're looking at today. And then, the discipline policy, so that will come through. Then once we are done with that, then we will just start over and go. It's to review each policy at least once every 3 years. At least once every 3 years, not only once every 3 years. So if there's something that comes up that a policy needs to be reviewed, the board can bring it to review.
Okay.
But this will help us keep track to make sure we are hitting each of them at least in that every 3-year period. You may have some of those, you may not have any of those. If you want to look through your paperwork, that's what I did yesterday. I sat down. Or before this and went through, I had some of them and I didn't have some of them, so I just printed them off and went through. So just let me know. You can email me if you need them. You can call me, you can stop in. I was busy one day when Nancy tried to stop in. Sorry, Nancy.
So you have copies of the 24.
What could print them, yeah.
That'd be good.
And then I included an article that was out of the Lewistown Argus. Yeah, so many to remember, about a large community block grant that they just got to talk about renovations and updates. Their building is 120 years old, and so they've been looking at some
Yeah,
different
I
things.
read that in
too.
their paper. They redid the front of the building or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah, there it is, portions of the faux stucco.
So, I just wanted to include that, that's kind of what I, when Rich came and we did the walkthrough, talked about different things. Since, and I know we've talked about this before, but Geraldine being remodeled and Big Sandy being a newer building, plus getting the Mahoo money. They took out that window and have already done some things, so,
Yes, okay.
yep.
And we get to see them next month.
And so that is all I have. Does anyone have any questions for me? On anything in general?
Yeah, just very general. I had a friend that questioned why storage time got changed from 10 to 2.
Did not really have anybody, or, we had a couple families that had been coming and moved out of the community, so. I had someone reach out to ask if we would consider changing the time, and I said that we would consider that, and she went. And asked some folks and that, so we're gonna,
Getting a good
mhm,
amount.
yeah,
It was
Which
just
branch?
for a younger,
here, yeah.
Okay.
a younger kiddo, and
Yeah.
the 2 o'clock time was nap time, so she.
Right, and that's, we were actually surprised when that's what it came back with, because, and as a person that has 4 children, I was surprised by that also, but
It worked, it's working well.
that's what.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
and then being on Mondays, I think is going to help, because since the pre-K is not on Mondays, so we're
The pre-K.
getting some pre-K, more pre-K than what we were getting before.
Sounds good, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other questions for her? No. Okay, all right. Moving on to,
So announcements or dates to remember, we've already talked a lot about Chris Stray. And then we talked about Pathfinder. On October 14th, we will be closed, all the branches, and then the story quilt project on the 22nd. So kind of have talked about all of those, I guess, already. Does anybody have questions about those events?
No, okay, thank you.
okay, we are on new business.
Unfinished.
Unfinished.
Oh, I see. Okay. Unfinished.
So the policy committee met in July and August. Right, that was on the calendar. July and August. In the animal policy, under other animals. I added, refer to Montana Code annotated 49.4.221. There was a request last time to include measurements for a miniature pony, but I talked to the state, talked to some other people, you can become a little too burdensome in your written policy, and so it's at the state, like it's already part of state law and part of the ADA, and so
You can just look it up there.
we can just look it up there. And so that was the only real change that I have written down. Is that right, Kim and Janet?
Yeah.
I think.
It is, thank you. Do you need a motion?
Do we
I
need a
think
motion?
An option for, especially on things like this, for public comment, call for public comment right after discussion, or is it after the motion?
After the motion.
Okay,
So we're on it. Okay, we're done with animal
no,
policy.
we are still on it.
We have
Yeah.
to vote on it?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone agrees?
Well,
We have to have a
you make a
motion.
motion and then you ask for public comment and
Oh,
then you.
Yeah.
for the
Thank
vote.
you, Emily. Okay, I would like to have a motion on the animal policy, please, to accept the animal policy.
I will move to accept the animal policy.
Second.
Or do we?
Yeah,
Yep, and then you call for
Public comment.
public comment.
Do we have a second?
Nancy seconded.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, is there public comment on the animal policy?
Could it be read to us?
Sure. I can read it. The Chouteau County Library strives to create a welcoming and inclusive environment for everyone. To ensure a safe and healthy space for all patrons, this policy outlines the regulations regarding animals in the library. Service animals. In accordance with the Americans with a Disability Act, ADA, service animals are welcome in all areas of the library accessible to the public. A service animal is defined as a dog or miniature horse that is individually trained to do work or perform tasks for the benefit of a qualified individual with a disability. Service animals must be harnessed, leashed, or otherwise under control at all times. They must be housebroken and must not create any disturbances within the library. Other animals. No pets or emotional support animals are allowed inside the library building except for approved therapy animals participating in specific events. And then there's the Montana, refer to Montana Code annotated 49.4.221. Service animal behavior. The library reserves the right to request the removal of a service animal if the animal exhibits disruptive behavior that poses a health or safety threat to patrons or staff. Disruptive behavior may include excessive barking, whining, or vocalization, soiling the library premises, displaying aggression towards people or other animals. Exceptions. Therapy animals may be allowed in the library for pre-approved events or programs. Approval will be granted on a case-by-case basis, considering factors like the animal's temperament and the nature of the event. Legal compliance. This policy adheres to the Americans with Disability Act, ADA guidelines regarding service animals. Dispute resolution. In case of any disagreement regarding this policy, patrons are encouraged to contact the library director.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I just ask where the miniature horse thing came from?
It's part of the.
But why can't you just say
You
service
have to-
animal?
You have to address the change.
Because we don't want an emotional support python.
Right, but that's not,
I think,
that's not a service.
No.
Python is not a service.
Actually, it's in the ADA. It actually is in there.
so you like the policy that was read and you're just wondering what the discussion.
Why
The horse.
Horse. I
Why
think
specifically horses? I mean, people have service monkeys, they have.
No.
my very slim understanding is some religions, maybe Muslims don't like, aren't dogs or against a religion, and then ponies became a thing. But that's possibly an extremely ignorant thought. But I think I read that like years and years ago that ponies became a service animal for some people.
But
And
why not
dogs
just
or
say
miniature.
authorized service animal?
She's wondering why it's listed out specifically.
Why it's listed out?
If those are the only two that are authorized service animals.
I see what you
listing
mean.
it out. Is that my understanding? Okay.
Yeah.
Except under like the exceptions, therapy animals will be allowed.
No, I think she means that second sentence under service animals, or service animal is defined.
Yeah.
And that's what the ADA put on their website.
So we're repeating the ADA.
We're just repeating what ADA. put on.
ADA limits service animals to ponies and dogs.
Yes, it does.
Official service animals, it does.
Go
Yeah.
ahead and look at their,
Yeah,
website.
I'm sorry, that's bizarre.
Okay, any other comments? We have a motion, right?
Yep.
To accept this policy and a
We already
second.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, the service animal policy is done.
Perfect, thank you.
And then one is. So we now go to the first reading of the volunteer
It's the
policy.
second reading. We did it last month, or last meeting.
And then made some corrections.
And I believe the corrections are highlighted in yellow on the second page. That was what went to committee. And those are the changes the committee made.
Excuse, I have to find it. Where is it?
Right there.
Oh. Okay. Any changes? You want a minute to read it? And then are there any more changes? I have a change. Okay, I just had a change. Under application, interviews, orientation and training, second page. I thought it would be a good idea when you have the personal interview to have the librarian from the branch there too. Because she's,
Oh, yeah.
they're the people that know their people in the town.
Right.
So I would like the branch librarian to be there when you have that.
You want that to be very specifically in the policy?
Yes,
Just a clarification then.
yes.
What is
Person
that?
seeking volunteer work, no, let's see, a personal interview may be held by the director or assistant director and the branch librarian.
Okay.
Is that, how would say?
There, that number 3,
Yes.
okay.
Oh, no,
Yeah, number
Yes,
3.
it is. Yeah, back here.
I have a different copy.
Yeah, you do,
Well,
because we
okay.
made a new, so the one I printed today. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Geez, there's the.
You've got your working copy.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is fine. Nope.
okay. So the volunteer work, every branch fills out the volunteer thing and then we bring it? Or how does that kind of work, Emily?
Well, most things are, I mean, online now, it can be shared that way, so it doesn't have to be in person.
Okay, okay. All right, yes, I just like to have the librarian there.
Great. I think that makes good sense.
Yep. And so your addition, Nona, would be a personal interview may be held by the director and or assistant director and branch librarian. Okay.
Yes.
So when we were pretty purposeful in that wording where it says a personal interview may be held,
And what does that, what?
that means it's not required to.
Oh,
volunteer.
Not written in stone.
Okay,
Yeah, so if you want to volunteer.
Maybe we should switch it to and or the branch librarian, how would that be? So that it's held by a personal interview may be held by the director,
and.
comma, assistant director and or the branch librarian, so then that way the branch librarian could do that kind of interview without, it doesn't have to be a whole committee.
Okay, yes.
Is that okay? Does
Yes,
that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah, and I don't think you need a committee.
Yeah,
If you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Can figure it out, yeah. Okay. Any others? Did we change number 4?
So
Due
we
diligence.
talked about, at the last meeting, we talked about fingerprints
Oh,
and
yes,
the
we did.
database. And so I went to the school, to the Fort Bend school, to see what their current policy was, and they just added, due to state law, it is my understanding that all volunteers have to be fingerprinted now. So I went and got fingerprinted because I work at the school. But there is quite a cost associated with that. And Janet pointed out at the last meeting, all the wonderful volunteers from East Sandy that came out. And so then if you put that into policy, that everyone has to be fingerprinted, you have the cost associated with it. You have to have somebody up there or here or wherever who's making sure that every single person that's volunteering has been fingerprinted. So we are presenting as a committee, the wording due diligence will be taken to search multiple publicly accessible databases to ensure volunteers do not pose a threat to the safety and well-being of library patrons. So we went with that wording versus that hard line that every person that volunteers is fingerprinted.
So I'm in a large organization in Great Falls, and they required if the people have volunteered more than 3 times.
Oh, okay. Cause I talked to someone from Community Bible who they require fingerprinting is what she told me. And so she did not volunteer one time because she didn't want to go get fingerprinted for a one-time.
I volunteer there and I've never had to be fingerprinted.
Oh, see, and that's not what she told me.
Okay.
That's.
I've never had to
So,
be fingerprinted.
yeah, I'm not sure. That's just what she mentioned when I was trying to find different. So, but that's why we went with that.
That's very good.
Because we want to be safe for that matter. Like, I mean, I want my patrons to be safe, but I want to be safe too, so.
Well, and did you have to go to the sheriff's department to get your fingerprinting?
Yes.
Yeah, I did too, and it was kind of a thing. You had to, I think they're like, well, every Tuesday's good.
Yeah, all that, yeah.
Did it any
Yeah.
cost?
I didn't.
It was not personal
The school
cost,
took
but the
the cost.
school does,
Okay.
have that cost.
I've got fingerprinted before.
So,
And once you're fingerprinted, you don't have to do it again.
No.
For-
So is the board
for
and staff fingerprinted?
no,
Not for you?
no,
And so you said that.
Some organizations do that, for example.
Well, especially if you're working with children. That's the only thing I would want, that we seek out that really carefully if they're going to be with.
I think her question though is the board and the staff, and we are not, the staff has not been here.
So it would
To my
be
knowledge.
unusual for the volunteers to have a stricter policy than the board or the staff.
I
Yeah.
would assume that we are volunteers, right? So we would.
Basically, we are, yeah, so.
I think we're not paid, I think, since we're appointed by the,
Anyway, that's why we went with that version.
Okay, I like it.
so.
I think with only that slight of a change, that you can, if you would like to call for a motion.
Then we can just call the, add
With
the amendment.
Yeah.
Are we fine with that?
Yep, so you'll call for the motion and then for more. if
I
there's
would,
public
I
comment.
would like to call for a motion for the volunteer policy to be put into place. Is there a second?
I move that we accept the volunteer policy with the amendments.
And, okay, you're right. A second?
I'll second that.
Okay, is there public comment on this policy? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Nays? That is fast, that's done.
I'm gonna write that out, like.
Stamp it, done. Okay.
Don't have any business left. Getting your policy committee. New business is forming your policies committee.
Which we did.
No,
We
Okay,
just added it to the.
okay, new business, now. Let's see, I would like to set up a new policy committee. As chairman, I would like to be on the committee. We will also need another trustee, so if.
I would like to remain on the committee.
I would also, because I've done all this research.
Yeah.
I think-
Have a debate.
Do I have to, maybe I'll. take
As long as
myself
it's posted, is that?
Is that legal?
Yeah.
We can do it out as long as they.
If you have a
post it.
forum, then it needs to be posted.
Okay.
And then public can attend and
Yes.
participate?
Yep.
So that'll make it more interesting. Well,
It could make it more interesting.
If the public.
We're really just down to like one policy left besides reviewing them. I mean, I'm not even sure how much, like,
I have just one policy, but we'll need to look at it
okay,
for an amendment. I
Oh.
do have one in mind.
which one, Jan?
It actually is an amendment to the, to our trustee manual on how our, trustees are,
the bylaws.
the bylaw, yes.
Fairly vital.
Okay,
But I can bring that
next,
to the policy committee meeting.
okay,
Okay.
do we need a motion?
I don't think to form a committee, they need a motion, right?
We're looking over
The
there.
chair can form.
Oh,
Okay,
chair can form a
okay,
committee. There you go.
I would like to form the committee involving me, Kim, and Nancy. Who are you? That one over there. Yeah, that's it. And then when do we meet? We talk about it.
We can set that. We just have to make sure that I can post it 48 hours, 48 hours in advance.
Okay, all right.
And then public comments on items
Not on,
on the agenda,
Okay.
but under the jurisdiction of the board.
we will now hear public comment for items not on the agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the board.
Hi, I'm Annie Gonzalez. I am the president of GFWC Fort Benton Women's Club. And Emily, this goes back to an item that the library, this is on the agenda, that the branches will be closed on the 14th.
I can talk to you about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's on the calendar.
Yep.
It's on a
I'll
lot of
talk to you.
calendars.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Okay, anything else? Any other comments?
We're gonna talk about them next. I wanna make sure that we.
Next meeting? Okay, next meeting will be in Big Sandy at noon.
On Wednesday, October 23rd.
Thank you.
Yep, I have it. It's right, yeah.
Okay, and,
And
yes,
there will be a foundation meeting to follow
oh,
in Big Sandy.
okay.
So I might just have something, so it's a question.
Okay.
So when you put the filters into the library, that is something that goes into the library. Shouldn't the board have some say about it and maybe come towards the board? The board of trustees, I mean.
Oh, the air, sorry, I was thinking computer filters,
No,
we don't have
no,
computer
no.
filters. It was something that we had discussed a lot with the cat issue, and, but then the cat was gone, but then also with,
Foundation.
well, with wildfires and all of those things that would, but we.
Yeah, but have you ever presented it to the board of trustees?
You were-
that you were going to do this?
You were on the foundation, do you know if there's legal precedent? Is the foundation required, or are you thinking just good
I think
tactics,
it's
best
required
practices?
just because it goes through the library.
might
It
have
goes through
to-
the building.
We might have to
No.
look at the bylaws of the foundation then to make sure we didn't break
Yeah,
some of the
It's
rules.
more about bylaws of the library.
But I think the foundation is
Yes, it
legally
is.
separate, and
Yes, it is legally.
usually the
separate.
foundation
But
applies to the
usually,
funds.
that's why when I was on there, I always brought everything to the board and talked about it. And then after, we always had the meeting afterwards. And then we had already discussed it with the board and then with the foundation. That's how precedent has.
So I would say that would be something to talk to Rich Jesperson about.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about it during the open meeting, or we can all sidebar?
Would you
After the
like to,
meeting's done.
well, I just believe that if it's part of the library and it's part that. And, you know, we okay what goes in the library, then it should be maybe discussed at our trustee meeting.
I mean, well, so do you not want air purifiers in the
No, it's not
library?
that I don't want, it's just that if we had not brought it up. Then we would not have known.
Oh,
About the air
Would you like
purifiers?
to speak, Rich?
I would love for Rich to
oh, he's
speak.
over there.
Yeah.
I didn't see you.
I snuck in. Sounds to me like the question is not about the air purifiers, but about the process. Okay, and there will be other process things that come up in time. Because Emily and I are talking about, you know, a long range plan to, you know, so there'll be other things that come along too. And I agree with you, the process should be, and I apologize for overstepping this, but I believe the process should be from foundation to the board. And then if the board approves it, then the foundation can go ahead and do whatever. But the board should be involved in those decisions. My apologies.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And
Thank you.
you meet in Big Sandy next month.
Yeah,
After the deadline to submit
For
the
living
grant.
plan, but there are other grants, and there's going to be, if we do a strategic plan and a capital improvement plan, we need to make sure that I don't know, chain of command, but communication structure is open.
So I mean, we're totally, I mean, that's not what
You don't think we should apply for the grant fund?
no, I think we should. I just think
Okay.
some of those should go through the board.
Well, we had
Through the
talked about it at a
foundation and
variety
through
of
the-
trustee meetings,
yeah.
so I thought that the trustees were
Well,
in as part of that discussion, so. So next meeting in October, and then,
Will you be having a meeting, Rich, before
No.
October?
no,
No.
the foundation only meets quarterly, that's why the importance of a capital improvement plan on paper is so important, so that we have something to follow.
yeah, and we usually get it together before
Right,
September.
So do we want to set a meeting?
well, we haven't really since I've started, that's part of the
We
problem.
don't got together.
No, I mean,
You know, it's like it's a surprise every year, even though it's the same every year, and then we're like, oh, it's due. And we don't have a meeting and we need to call a special meeting. So hopefully moving forward, that won't be.
thank
We can
you.
shift all the foundation back a month.
We can talk about it.
Gotcha.
But
So you will probably have we'll have our meeting, you'll have the foundation meeting, and then it will come before the board at the next meeting?
No,
Not unless we're gonna skip this funding cycle. At this point,
Can't you just?
at this point, the application
What
is
you have
due.
planned and.
Yeah, I feel like we have planned and then we'll
Better
move
process,
forward.
I think realistically, I mean, legally
And I
we
think
can.
that's part of the reason, right, in the foundation bylaws, there's supposed to be two trustees.
Yeah.
Two trustees that are on the foundation, which we kind of got off because Danny, is off of the trustees, but is on the foundation through December. So I believe Rich talked to Jesselyn, is that right? And Jesselyn will be, so it will be Kim and Jesselyn will be on the trustee board. And then, so it's a committee, right? So they meet as a committee and they will bring that back. So that's not, I'm not part of that.
No, you're just the
Maybe
secretary.
that's
Right.
We should have brought that to the board today, maybe, because
Yeah.
we did have
Okay,
our.
thank you.
Yeah, but,
So now that we did, sorry, I didn't know anything
but
about it.
Janet, does it sound like, in general, you think for this grant or for all grants, the request should come more from the librarians or from the
Well, that's
board?
what it always has been. Actually, I even said to Emily, that was the first time she said, I said, yeah, we always appreciate the branches.
Okay,
You know, it would be like putting bookcases where we really didn't feel the bookcases, but before, you know, it's just kind of part of,
I kind of see that, but I know last year this year's kind of, I don't know, it feels more, I'm not sure the correct word, but we're requesting like 6 big items. Maybe, no, 11 big items, whereas in the past, we've requested $20 for a set of headphones. And it seems to me like for a grant, someone who's running a grant, maybe it's more respectful to, have like, here, we're asking for some large items, like an air purifier.
yeah.
I think that was why this
But
year it was
we have
nicer to
we
come
have
from the
asked
foundation.
for larger than that. We've had up to 22,000
Okay,
when we were building the Geraldine, when we were remodeling it.
okay,
So, yeah, but in that you have to think about too, it was remodeling the Geraldine Library, so that's why it's a library. If we are over libraries, it would seem to be that we can have, know
I gotcha.
about it, okay?
But it sounds like we're on the same page, like maybe the requests are more from the board or from kind of, rather than getting the librarians, like if they need pencils, that should just come straight from the foundation, not
I
a
don't
grant
think that-
application.
Just come on, supplies.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it's ever
Should we-
supplies.
Like I could keep, have
should be in the,
Darlene keep track of when when you're getting ready to do that and then just
like in August.
let you know, make their list because she said nobody got in touch. She didn't
So when I
know.
met with both Big Sandy librarians in February or March, I had them put a list together, and so that was part of their wants, their needs, separate from the summer reading list. That was a separate list. And like we talked about, a lot of that came out of operating supplies. I got them a new projector, there was a lot. I can go through and find all of that if you would like. I believe one foundation member, soon after I started, thought that it was pretty insulting to the liquid clay bidder to come with just little fiddly
Like
things
pencils,
versus
a big item.
that's
New
why
chairs.
I, as director, feel it's very important, and Rich came and we spent an afternoon to do a walkthrough. You have your strategic plan, you have your capital improvement plan, so that you have those listed out, so that it's not a surprise, and it's not, oh, we're 1 week away from this grant. And that's in that Lewistown article also, it is quite a process, and we really need to do it here. It needs to be done, our building is old, it's been a while, Geraldine has a nicely redone, we talked about this last time, so yes, if we can get that plan, written down on paper, then it's much easier to go to the list. And say, this is what we would like to pursue, then we can go to Women's Club and Lions and Liber Claywitter and Chordic monies and there's other monies available, but we cannot pursue any of those really without having that capital improvement plan.
Okay, so, all right.
That's a priority.
I'll comment as a member of the public and from the state library. We offer strategic planning trainings. They're coming up in October. The closest one to you here in Fort Benton or Chouteau County would be in Livingston on October 22nd. And that's with me, and I would love to see some familiar faces. And if that doesn't work, with weather, et cetera. There's plans to potentially do something online in the future, but having a written plan, strategic and capital improvement, is really critical to the success of any library, so.
So will those be online? Those ones that you're just in Livingston?
No, it will not.
No.
And it's a training on how to come up with a strategic plan?
Yep, and there's a
Okay.
hands-on element so that you can actually work on having something to bring back to your, community. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so encouragement, support me, let me help you. Support me, support you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Are we done? I adjourn this meeting at 1:10 this afternoon, September 24th, or that's fine.
Once
We're done.
There you go.